I knew a bit about her, because she's become this sort of like punk/pop icon, So I was familiar with her accomplishments, but really seeing the woman behind it is what really blew me away and inspired and really impressed the hell out of me. Oh my God, Felicity killed it. She really transformed herself into Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she was just such an impressive human being, and she nailed it. She became Ruth Bader Ginsburg and really did such an amazing job bringing life into the woman that we all know about.
I really hope that this movie and people talking about her raises awareness on this wonderful story. And, I came out watching the film. I mean, making the film was an amazing experience, but watching this film all put together, I was on this high and I had this energy and this fire lit inside me. And I was so excited to tell all my friends and all the girls in my life to go and watch this film. It's something that I'm so incredibly proud to be a part of, and it's something that I think we really need to hear. Yeah, Felicity's so special. She's such a unique person, and she's just unique in the way that she's so incredibly kind. You meet her and you're like, are you sure you're famous? You're like a giant movie star, and she has no walls up. She took me in. It was so inspiring to watch her make this transformation. Her level of commitment as a young actress, combined with her kindness, was like, wow, I can't believe you did all that. So I definitely look up to her.
I was a history major in college, and so I knew all about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and to have Ruth Bader Ginsburg played by Felicity be my lawyer in this movie was an ace in the hole. So it was great.
And so I kind of put it aside for a little while, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I called up Aunt Ruth and I said, I have this idea. I'd love your permission. If possible, I would really appreciate your help. And she said, well, if that's how you think you'd like to spend your time. And so I clearly did, and here we are. And I finally built up the courage to ask her right before this night if she really ever thought I would get a movie made when I asked her if I could write it. And she said, well, I didn't assume that you wouldn't, so I'm not sure that was a great vote of confidence, but I'm glad that the movie was made and that happily she loves it. So, the two things I can tell you is, one is my wife and I always looked to Aunt Ruth and Uncle Martin as our role models for how a marriage can work. She did it all because she didn't do it all alone. They helped each other, they supported each other, and not just professionally, but they were also at home together, raising the kids together. My uncle did all the cooking, and it was never like a burden. It was just the joy of being together. And when people ask her, I know, how do you have it all? She said, well, you can have it all. You just can't have it all at once. And they did a really nice job of sort of taking turns and always helping each other when they needed help.
It was about building up trust. Initially, we went over to Washington. We spent time in her chambers. We spent time in her home. She was very, very welcoming. She has been part of every single stage of the evolution of the script. Her nephew, Daniel Stiepleman, wrote it. So she had been giving notes very early on. And apparently a lot of her notes were about the law. And they were also about Marty and making sure Marty was presented in the best possible way. And none of her notes came from ego. It was not about vanity in any way. So that's a testament to what an extraordinary woman she is. It's her beliefs. It's her beliefs that have got her through. She's an incredibly principled woman, and she hasn't wavered from those for a second. And she's prepared to fight.
I mean, she's always meant a lot to me. I mean, all our Supreme Court justices mean a lot to me. But Ruth in particular was, so instrumental in sort of, just breaking so many barriers just in her life before she even got to the Supreme Court. She was a very prescient lawyer and took cases that sort of fought for, not only the underdog but also for women's rights, and had a very sort of keen eye far into the future. So and I think she's also a very sort of considerate person, and that she thinks long and hard. Apparently, she speaks. When she's in conversation, she takes long pauses and then speaks in sort of paragraph form. But after she sort of mulled over her reply, she's not someone I would think of as impulsive or improvisational. And she's incredibly smart.
It was a huge responsibility taking on the early days, the origin story of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but I just embraced it, took deep breaths and tried to honor her legacy and tell a story that was grounded about this remarkable woman breaking the glass ceiling, being a mother, having a beautiful marriage, an equal partnership, a real metaphor for the film.
You know, it's kind of impossible not to be inspired by this story. It's, you know, a woman who was able to make this huge change in our laws and really kind of spearhead this revolution, and yet do it in a very civil, using the laws to change the laws. And I find that, so I think all Americans will find that really different from what we're in the middle of now, and just refreshing, and kind of reminds us that, yeah, you can really, our laws and our system is built for discourse and civil discourse, and you can still prevail by staying within the lines.
It's just a tribute to Justice Ginsburg and the power of her story, that this movie took 6 years to get here, and Felicity's just done a wonderful job of really embodying the strength, the passion, the perseverance that Ruth Bader Ginsburg represented, and how she really changed the world. So the movie's a tribute to that, and we're thrilled to be a part of telling her story. She's just, everything about her reflects the fight and the struggle that she's had to change the world.
Well, I think what's most important is that she started in '75 and kept going through hundreds of cases to get equality for not just women alone, obviously, but for men too. The first case she did was an equality case for a man. So I think that's an ongoing process that keeps going today. She's the hardest worker in our government, and I hope she keeps it up.